happening. It's happening. We are live again. Because you can't, you won't, and you don't stop. I got that song in my head all day. Because you can't, you won't, and you don't stop. An idiot. That's probably all I know about it. Anyway, welcome everybody. Let's fix together safely. And also, because I was up a lot of the night, falling asleep and waking up to Pope's TA in the middle of the night. That guy's an animal. I think he went until 7, like a freak, which I hope to get to, that freak level. I'm hoping to get to freak status like Pope, because we have the same sleeping patterns. And that's why this works so well together.
Right.
So we're going to do exactly what we always do. We're going to talk about the market cap. We're going to talk about the dominance. And then we're going to kick into, because I think you said that you missed Sui last night, that Showbiz was asking for. And I've actually never checked out that coin. So I'm pretty stoked to, see something I've never seen before. Just see the different heartbeat, which is amazing. I just realized I'm a hand talker. I'm like, it's like you talking with your hands and your ape.
It's truth. And the cool thing is, if you haven't been able to watch the TA, I haven't even looked at Sui, so I'm just going to do it from scratch so you can see a little bit live. We'll get into that right after all the major market news. And then from there, we'll go over what we've been covering every week.
And my understanding is you're doing TA after the show. Sorry. And yep. you were talking about just how going back and watching is a little difficult because there are different styles, different pattern changes that happen. So we don't want to get married to the things we've, drawn on, right?
Yeah. So if you're watching some of these TA videos from that are previously recorded, don't try to match them up, especially if it's a while ago. Watch them just to learn the style, to understand the flow of the TA, how TA works. Because if time has passed, we talk about if the pattern breaks, we ditch it. So if you try to replicate it and you're new, you might try to force it, and if you try to force your TA onto what's happening, it doesn't work. It's more to get the feel of it. If you're doing it alongside, perfect, no problem. Or if you're there a little bit later on that candles periods, not too bad. But yeah, if it's much later in time and you still don't really understand TA, just watch it if you want to.
Well, it's a thing to find out where the trend lines might go on any coin, where the parallel channels may go, where you may put them. So when you see the coins in the current time, you can implement it where the candles are at that time.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And when I'm doing it on these live shows, I'm talking through it. I'm also answering questions. I do use the battle station so I can have just other than my screen, because when I'm here, all I see is my screen. And so we can go through it, walk through it. We found a ton of cool entries last night. Man, have we found some entries coming up. And these are going to be some of our home runs, and there's going to be some of those really easy 1%. And I'm excited to show you some of those tonight as well.
I was so excited about cake last night. I passed out a little bit and I woke up to cake and I'm like, interesting. Logged it, fell back asleep again.
Nice. Well, I did 5 hours. I don't expect you to watch. Excuse me. It's more to just catch the style. Let's go. You're right. Let's get right into
it. Well, and actually, and America popping up there reminded me. So when you begin in the market cap and things, would you mind... because it's really about these parallel channels that I have questions about, because when you're popping them on and dropping them down, I don't know if there's any value of where I leave the bottom line.
I'll walk through that when we mark up Sui.
Oh, you're the best. Thank you.
All right, let's get into it.
Do it.
All right, the crypto total market cap is pretty much exactly for the whole week what we've been saying. We're going to be hovering around this 1.5 million. And if it still looks like we're getting this curl, we don't want the curl. We want it, well, we do obviously, but we just want it a lot faster. But it looks like we're getting to almost exactly where we've talked about. We need this retest to come out of this channel. So the quick one, we start at the top of the highest last point on the downward candle. So we wouldn't use this one because it was upward, red down. And I always use the candle bodies. If you stick to wicks, just do wicks. I do candle bodies. they're also easier to see when you're zoomed out further. And we typically, you get 1, 2, 3 touches, and typically right after that third touch, a retest and out. Now, where that third after is wherever it can be. Right now, we're at this consolidation of 1.5. We've been saying we're going to be. Our retest would be to come out and take off. We're already starting to come out, which means money is flowing into the market. So if we take away our drawings.
She noticed my shirt. I'm interrupting.
I said that to Jessica Wildchild's in the audience.
Sorry to interrupt. Okay.
No, so we have this consolidation. We're having exactly that curve we're looking for that we keep talking about just in our indicators. We can see that this is a strong level of support right across here from, early December. We had a lot of money pour in. Makes sense. A lot of money is going to pour out. If we go to the wick, that's almost $300 billion. All right. And a lot of that has come out in the form of, panic, sheep. People that are smart money taking their profits. Now the fear of the bad ETF, to sell the news, everything, doom and gloom. Now China's buying, like we said yesterday, it's no longer banned and this kind of stuff, which was a joke. Well, Phantom's on one of the ones we talked about last night. Bitcoin price crashing to 10,000, still possible. Crypto pundit Justin Benton, So the likelihood of Bitcoin going to 10,000, sure, exists. Anything can go to zero. But there's enough institutions and money in there. They're going to be buying that up. And when it hit 24.9, I put all my money into it. That was a no-brainer for me. Everybody was like, oh, it's going to go down to 18s, 19s. None of the data said that. And it's been up pretty much ever since that. And yeah, we've had pullbacks. We talked about it. I pulled out. I told you a while ago, I'm on the sidelines right now. I'm not going to be on the sidelines for much longer, especially when I show you what I found. Right? So you can see how it's always manipulated. Always manipulated. Even if it was going to affect the price of Bitcoin, we have so many stops down before that. So consolidation, we know, builds pressure. And what do we have quickly on a technical is, that's actually going to be terrible to show. Sorry. We can see how it comes down and it's making this triangle just in this spot right here. So it's trying to break that out as well as the retest, as well as the curve. We have the red out, green in. We have so much confluence right now saying this is the bottom area of our total market cap. And if we use the tools that you were talking about that we started with early, because we didn't have our critical fear and greed, that was still in development, it's also telling us, right? And
that definitely would have been the buy signal.
Right.
Before.
And of course, we're talking about market cap. So you're not buying the market cap, but it's telling you the money's going this direction, like we've talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I never want to take these off. It's Thursday. We've been talking about this all week, just like the ones we've done before. If I'm wrong, I'm going to admit it, and we're going to be able to see it. And I'm not saying I'm right all the time by any means.
Well, you can't be wrong considering you've got a line going in every direction. You're giving us all the options, right? And you're just letting us know. So it makes sense.
Yeah. 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 Okay. So let's get out of we can see money starting to flow, which means this little bit of consolidation, which means we're going to be in a lot of good positions for entries. Money is starting to flow in. We gave ourselves a couple of possibilities of dominance, right? We wanted to see these curl and dominance comes down, but we've been talking about that curvy line for ages. We finally erased it yesterday. Right? And we knew the market cap was going to be doing what it's doing right now because the data is saying that. The media is saying that. So we're on the 4 hour. Let's find out how much money, yeah, that'll work. About 0.3%. So that's a lot. That's a lot in a, market cap that we have. And that went all down into the alts, I bet. And that's why we're starting to see a little bit of some alts move today because the dominance dropped. And now we're starting to see this curl. And if we go back to where our lines were, we were just off by a little bit of time. And that's what we're going to be looking for. Because then when we know this happens, and now this might happen sharply. This could drop like that tomorrow, later today. As soon as that money wants to move in or out, we know it can go fast. And that's huge money. But that's the trend that we're looking for. That's giving us the indication of these, which means we have strong statistical probability of changing direction. So let's zoom into the almighty BTC. All the same notes as last time. This is on the 4 hour. We were saying this is probably all marked up on the daily by the look of it. Almost exactly what we did with our lines. This didn't exist other than our lines. These lines didn't exist. There's last night's show.
I mean, that's pretty fucking close, my friend. Nice work.
Thank you. We need to break out, like this line says. We need to retest. And we're probably going to have a pullback somewhere in this line that we label. Then we need to break into this box, settle on top, and then we're off to the races. And the other thing we said, Bitcoin can do this in one fucking candle if it wants to. We just keep our eyes on it. That's why we always have, or I always have, this screen up in this corner. Because if we're trying to catch small percentages fast and you're following the money moves fast. And when you connect those two, well, you're going to see, and hopefully you're already starting to see. Ethereum, same thing. We couldn't see these. We're just going to fight these levels of support and resistance. We missed that one somehow. Oh, let's make that the right color. And we're on the daily, which is there. So same thing. We're going to be hopefully consolidating in this area. And if this breaks down, this was probably our next level of major support. That's what this line was for. It has to hold in here. And we had a few wicks out. That's why we were nervous. Would we come back down here? It's probability. Like I said, this has been going on in this range for so long. This is showing tremendous strength. This is where the public says, well, not the public, the people with the money are saying, hey, this is actually what it's worth. And we're going to drive it up again, then we're going to take our profits. It's another way to look at it. Right? And when we look at our parallel channel on this, we've had our most localized high to our lowest one. We broke out here, retested, but we didn't We didn't get to stay up. Here we did, and here we did. But it doesn't, you're playing that on this part here. It doesn't mean it's always going to rocket. And this is a prime case. Why? Because we had all that fear from the market the last few days. Grayscale selling all their Bitcoin, $900 million of it, just shy of a beat. One person or company, right? So if Bitcoin goes down, everything else goes down. That's what that was. If that didn't happen, this retest probably would have took off up into these support resistance. And that's why I said we never really know. So let's plan out for all the worst case scenarios. As soon as I get confirmation of that curve, or as soon as we start having money flow fast into the market, and this just starts to go on a crazy upswing, like, right, then we're in. We've broken this trend, retested, and are gone. But right now, yeah, I mean, this is a good deal for Ethereum, absolutely. But I also have shown you I like to chase a little easier percentages than this, because Ethereum and Bitcoin are typically slow, unless you're talking to like S&P people, right? A whole day, 1%. I want to get 1%. Yes. I don't want to do it a day. Fuck. Boring. Right? I want to do that in an hour or two. Call it a day.
So what is 1%? What is worth the time for you? And you're an experienced trader, but what is worth the time for you to spend on a 1%?
I mean, that's different all the time, but once you start to see the system in action and working, it can usually happen under a few hours. Sometimes you can't force it, or sometimes there's no trade. I've had days where it's nothing. Like I said, I don't short. I'm probably going to short a little, probably going to short a little more this year. But, that for me was also a time to walk away from the markets. When you get into longing and shorting and longing and shorting and longing and shorting, it becomes the addiction, and that's another important part of our modules and our group is, and why we say we don't work weekends. You need to touch grass, because this can become all consuming, right? You think I started with that? Right. SUI is what you wanted to mark up first. For people that don't have the version where you don't get a lot of different tabs, this is a nice 3-tab layout. Your layouts are all in here, and you can change them up with how many tabs you're allowed. So I had Gala for earlier, but let's start with SUI, because we haven't done a lot of TA on this. Well, we haven't done any. So we know bird's eye view. We always start from afar. Wow, this looks like a teacup and handle, right?
But what does it mean? What does it mean?
It's going to form like a teacup is typically what that pattern means. And would make sense, because we want to consolidate here. We want to hold this value in here on the weekly. So the fact that right now on the weekly, and this is what I was kind of showing last night, for me, if you've gone through the modules and the indicators, the colors are important. Why? Because when you start layering them all up, they don't interfere with each other. And when you know how to read all of them, you can have them layered on top of each other, and it makes sense. I want the same thing with my lines, because if you have a shit ton of lines and they're all the same color, they will lose any kind of meaning when you're zooming in. So on the weekly, I always use gold. It's just easy to remember. And on the high point, ironically, I also use gold, and I make it 2. And then on the low, I do the same thing. And when I can see them in one quick screen, I don't do this often. Usually this much movement, you aren't getting back down to there, especially on weeklies. But so if I get down to these areas, I'm going to see a big, thick red line. Or if I'm zoomed in here and forgot to look out, I'm going to see a big gold thick line. And I know, oh, that's the all-time high. those are hard to break. That's going to be a very strong area of resistance, right? So now when I'm on the daily and I can see this support here, I go back into my, or on the weekly, sorry, I go back into here and I change the thickness. So now when I'm zoomed in my dailies or in my any other time frames, basically, and you don't need a ton, that's probably good enough. You'll start to see the difference. So we've seen a nice hold of support. We've seen some retracement from this high, which would make sense. This is a ridiculous token. I've been hearing a ton about this thing, right? Bottom to top, 273%. Why wouldn't you be taking profits? Just like all these people did, right? And if you're in this ecosystem and you know you're a trader, why wouldn't you sell here, wait for the pullback, buy, wait for the pullback? They're in and out of this like crazy. Right? So that's what it looks like on the weekly.
It doesn't even have enough data to have a full Bollinger Band situation on the weekly.
Well, right, because it does need that past history.
Yeah.
Right? And this came out, what is that, 9 months ago, roughly?
She's young.
Right. Here's a tool I brought up last night because sometimes I like to see how long areas of consolidation last or things like that. So you can actually just do date ranges with it. And then there's, dollar ranges here, same thing, up and down. And those things can come in handy. Well, geez, this looks beautiful on the daily. Lots of recoveries, lots of parallel channels and breakouts. This is what we want to see. This is healthy retracements. This is ridiculous. This was probably some sort of news event or something, or listing on an exchange if this was on a DEX prior.
Looks like a lot of great places to pop in that 1%,
Oh, easy, right?
Yeah.
And we can see that the trend here, and when you start to notice things with your indicators and what's going on with the actual token at the time, we're not ever really getting below the median, the dotted white line. It's almost like right now that dotted white line is its level of support. And we've had beautiful retracements. This is very, very strong. Now you can see we have our gold lines from the weekly, but now we can see, hey, we got a little bit of resistance there. Well, we don't want gold because now is this weekly or is that weekly? So for me, I just keep them on a light gray. It's a little soft. Try to keep them as soft. My opacity is never 100%. You can go into it and move it down. Yes, for the degens. And then you can just start dropping these in here on the dailies. And you don't, just kind of stick around the price action as best you can. I won't relabel over a weekly because of why, and a weekly has far more strength. And I would probably just leave it at that for now. And if you're ever curious, okay, what are these lines? Well, you can use this new tool that I was showing people last night. And you can go, okay, to that line, and you can keep it simple, right? But if you want to make sure you're on the line, you can use the lines. And you can go, okay, well, then to that line. Or maybe you're like, oh shit, what happens if I go down to this line? And you can start to see how these levels of support and resistance look in terms of percentages. And if you're like, well, if I get to its last little localized high here, because we know it's not our high because we have a thick gold band somewhere, or is that it? No, it can't be. Oh, it's on the weekly, right? So on the weekly, that was our local high because these candles above it didn't make it. So when that kind of stuff happens, I'm glad I caught that. I'm going to turn that into 2.
And America really appreciates your visual and percentages there. And I agree completely.
It's like, I think it was Emily that said the captions, in the course. People learn differently, the crypto bubbles. are a great one. Watching the crypto bubbles on the daily and the hourly. Actually, shout out to Supreme. He showed me that there's the Crypto Banter show by Man Ran, puts it on. Man drives me a little bit of insane because he's a shiller, but Sheldon the Sniper is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They started their own crypto bubbles, like they just ripped it right off. But they improved it. So kudos.
That's good. I have a hard time watching the crypto bubbles that we look at. So maybe I'll check out Sheldon's because
yeah, you can do it by categories, right? So you can do gaming or you could do, layer twos and stuff like that. So you're only looking at those bubbles as opposed to the whole spectrum.
Yeah, that's nice.
Either one you can customize. You can put only the ones you're watching, and that's another actually important thing. Just because we have all these coins doesn't mean you should be watching them all or trading them all. That's no. Like when I'm in and out of trades, I'm either only in one or two tokens when I'm doing the 1%. My set and forgets, different stories. My longer holds of longer trading, different stories.
But you're just ripping through the options. So you can look and go, not this time.
Oh.
Not this time.
Oh, yeah. Last night I was like, nope, on to the next. Right?
I think you only went back and actually double checked every like half hour or a couple of hours. I think you only went back to check a few from all the ones you went through.
Yeah, we did a ton last night. So
yeah,
let's take out let's just look at the price action. So we can look at I think I got an extra one in there by accident. Did I? I'm scared of it. There's a little bit, but whatever. If we're just looking at price action without any indications, we can see right there, we had our 3 touches. Now you were asking about how to lay a parallel channel. Oops, I'm clearly on lock. One day I'll learn, I promise. How I lay parallel channels, like I said, doesn't matter if you do wicks or bodies. You just always have to stick to, I told you I'd learn one day. Today is not that day.
Who cares? Nobody cares. We're all doing the same crap.
Right. I always prefer bodies of candles because that's your majority of price action. These are extremities, usually like stop loss or take profits or like these would be stop losses on these ones. So we know it's not perfect. And the stronger it is when it's zoomed out. So if this was a weekly right now, this parallel channel is strong. And if we didn't have anything from here, like if none of this existed in the future yet, and we've had 1, 2, and we didn't make it back up and we have such a thin candle, no brainer, this motherfucker's going down. And on a weekly support, probably good chance that's where it's going to stick. All right. So we have our breakout, we have our retest. It didn't go below that line. That's where our retest is, right there. This is our entry. All right. And if you got into your entry, and this is how we hunt these entries. Say we missed it. We didn't even get it perfect. Let's go body to body. One day, 20%. Not bad. I like those days. We're not going to hit them all the time. But we'll find them, and we'll find them every now and then.
Usually if I throw the parallel channels in there, I'll actually throw a different color parallel channel I'll do like a yellow channel for my weekly, and I'll throw a gray one in there just so. Does that make sense?
Totally. Just like we're doing the different colors of lines.
Yeah, exactly.
Normally, I do the same colors for the channels and everything. I've been marking this up on the show quick, and I didn't want to go through all that every time. Kind of a thing, but that is a great strategy. An absolutely great strategy.
Look at me, guys. Great strategy. Fucking killing it. Okay, sorry, back at it.
Go winner. Here we are. This is when Amir, this candle here, because we're on the 4-hour, came on the show in here. And then the next day I told you to short it. And every other day I continued to tell you to short the fuck out of this thing until we didn't know where that curve was going to happen. But we knew with our critical fear in here, this is where we'd want to get out. Now we're seeing support on the gold line, which means it's weekly, which we know it's strong. We almost had that curl. But if you got in where we said short, and you just go, hey, critical fear, I'm out. We know this is overbought now for this area. We were starting to wick up. No one's going to fall. Let's even say we got a bad entry. We'll take it at its high. Oh, no, that'll screw with the percentage. We'll say we got a bad entry. We even got a little lower. And we missed the critical fear and was going up, and we panicked. It's still 14% in 5 days. So when we can see these kind of plays and you're doing a little more slow trading and not trying to catch those 1% very quickly, there's other ways to make money. Right? It's knowing how all these kind of layer over each other, knowing where these supports and resistance are on different time frames. But now that you've started to see us walk through this a bit, and you just look at price action, we can see these areas of consolidation where they become support. Same area. Look at that support. Now look at this resistance. Same area. Here's your channel and taking off. People taking profits from the takeoff. Oh, look, another channel. People taking profits. Right? And yeah, this and then downwards trend. This is why you can't measure alts as, your barometer of the whole market. But even when I said we started the bull market, and everybody said I was nuts.
It looks like higher highs and
you're still higher highs.
Yeah.
Absolutely. It would have sucked if you carried it all the way down because you're only making that percentages. And that's where I think holding and not taking profits in diamond hand is a foolish thing. But let's be honest, if you bought in then and you're out there now, you're still up 23%. That's 20% better than your average stockbroker for a year. So that's why I always say data. Data is king. Now, if we would have broke this line, this is on the 4 hour. Let's even go on the weeklies and we get rid of that. Anytime we break these lines of support, it's going down in either direction. We broke this line of support. It's no longer following this uptrend. And there's your parallel channel. Oh, little quick retest and then down again. Why? Because we're in that whole downwards motion. Even that is doing it. Sometimes you just need to reset, the view and zoom out, and you can see these downward motions. And it makes sense, just like we've been drawing. My name is Simon. I like to do my drawings. We're probably going to be doing something like this because we know now, just by doing this trend line and it's holding it, it may even come down into here. It probably will. Let's adjust that. And we want to see us walk up this. Because if we don't, we've broken this trend and we are coming down to a weekly level. Because we know that's strong. It might stop here for a minute, but then it's coming down here. And how much is that? I'd be out of this short already. I would have taken the profits. Now we're looking for the long. It's had a big retracement. It's another 2 some odd %. If this fires a critical fear, that'd be a good entry. You know, just because I said short it doesn't mean I don't like it. It's about the money. One of my favorite ones, the one I think we're gonna set and forget, the one we're gonna trade in and out of quite a bit this year. Stacks, our layer 2 solution, Bitcoin. Where were we yesterday? Right here. This is when we said we either need to consolidate, hold this line, or we're coming right back down to this support. We've been talking about it for a while. Now, critical, we said, let's wait for here. Let's wait for that cross. Or if you want, just buy in. You're going to get out right away because it's critical fear. Doesn't mean it can't still keep going, because we had this downtrend in this point. We didn't have a curl. As soon as we got the curl is when I said get in. And then I said it's got to retest up here. It's got to break out and stay above it. Otherwise, it's just going to come back down, just like it did. Look at that. Retesting right there. Staying up. We would have bought at that curl. Even worse, let's just say, let's just say we got at the curl when it got really tight. So we got it in here. And we just rode to the level of resistance, getting out. Sorry. Why?
I'm getting old, man. I couldn't even read it the first time you did it. Was that 3 point something or other?
3.16 in 4 hours.
Thank you.
4 hours, 3%, just by understanding critical fear, curve, a retest. Well, there's a retest right here on their style. What do you think Stacks is going to do the next little bit? It's going to test this area, already has. Now it's off to the races. If we start to see more spread, we start to see more money come into the market, these are the kind of things people are going to go, shit, this is a good deal. This is a great ecosystem. Let's go. All right, we've called it pretty much from back here. Why unlock? No. Wow, these are all two. Damn it. I'm like, why are they so thick? And yeah, when I catch myself with that, I back up and make the change, because this TA might last a while. And I might forget that, oh yeah, I did do that. That isn't what it's supposed to be. I must have a million lines.
Is that a 2 to 3 liner?
Yeah, it's when you forget that the lock tool is on. That's exactly what that was. Hilarious.
That's the worst.
And we all do it. And if you haven't done it yet, it's coming. So we can tell just from, history, and we can pull that one down a bit if we want to split the difference for the wicks over here. So from our entrance, where we talked about was 15%. We're starting to see this run. We're on the 4 hour. We can zoom in and find maybe a better entry. But just for shits and giggles, where we're at current price, next level, 1%, 5%, 7.4. We have a track record with this token of short time frames and massive percentages. This is what I was doing last night. I was going back in history and looking at some of this. Right. We're about to go right back. If we get to that high again, and you're looking at a longer, slow trade, maybe you're on holiday. Oh man, I just dropped a line on there. You know, there's 37%. And if you're curious as to, you know, how long was that fall? "14 days, 2 weeks." Okay. We're seeing a lot of price action in short periods of time. Will we get up to this price point in 2 weeks? I don't know. Good chance we'll get to it eventually. Just trying to zoom out. We're on the 4. You know, look at all this from before. It would make sense that we start to consolidate, like we said, above this, and then we go off. And then we're going to contest this next range that we haven't marked out yet of consolidation. Being conscious of time. All right, this is what I was marking up last night and looking at. Looks like probably a whole lot of gobbledygook. I did another version of Gala, which I posted in our actual Discord, because we're walking up this line. At least we were on the daily, I should say. Right? We've gone from our lowest low to our current low. This is our trend line. As soon as we start to break this and it starts falling, yeah, we're in a bear. It has to hold this line right now. What do we have? I just want to make sure my tools, where are my tools? We have a ton of touches. We're supporting this line coming up. We've been walking on it. You know, we have a 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch. We want to keep going on. We've been holding this median down and now holding a strong support and walking up along the line. So knowing all this, we need a retest to break this channel. This is the trend line, which is right on the same as the channel for going down from the highest low, or sorry, the highest high to now. We get the breakout, the retest, and we continue to go, and this curls. This is where our entry is. This is what we're targeting. Right. So that's just
there's Ann America has a question. I believe it's for this coin. I think that's when it's up there. Since it's been up and shows oversold on RSI, do you wait for a pullback to enter a coin like this?
Well, yeah, because right now I haven't had my retest. It doesn't have to break this. If it breaks this, we know we're off to the races.
Stacks. I think it was Stacks. So maybe we can go back after or whatever.
What was the question about Stacks?
Since it's been up and shows oversold on RSI, do you wait for a pullback to enter a coin like this?
On what time frame?
I'm gonna wait for the answer. Man, America's gonna let us know. Probably wherever it says oversold, which I don't see anything there. 4 hour.
RSI. Is she talking stochastic or regular?
I'm not sure.
So we haven't broken below oversold. I mean, we could zoom in. We lightly tipped oversold right here on the RSI. And Bollinger told us we got an entry. RSI did not. Entries for RSI are always down. Doesn't matter if stochastic. it's been telling you, and this is why I don't use these ones as much anymore. I use them to kind of see the monitor of sheep. Our fear and greed, critical fear and greed indicator knocks it. Now, sometimes when they all line up, that's confluence. That's awesome, right? But look how much, here's a prime example. It told you to get out over here. Ours told you to get out here. Look how much profit you lost by listening to this. This is delayed. This is not. But when
your trading is so much different than it was even a year ago. It's amazing.
No, I had to get you. Yes, I've learned a lot even over that time, but I can't dump a ton of information when you're brand new. Right? It's just going to go when you first started all that language. Like I said, we haven't even gotten into DeFi, liquidity pools, all this other stuff I love doing.
No, right. I'm not ready for that.
Right? So, yeah, I do look at them. If that's where you were talking for overbought, yeah, here RSI tiny little bit. I mean, here's a prime indication of not knowing what the heck is going on. What's the stochastic? And it's been telling you to buy ever since here. Whereas Bollinger and our micro bear and fear with that little bit of curl is telling you to buy in here. So my question, would you rather buy over here or here if you were longing? Because this is a long indicator. This is a short indicator. So I look at this more for confluence between all of them lining up or what the sheep are doing. Anyways, so we were on, yes. Okay, so this is what I was marking up yesterday. I can't even tell which was this one. Oh, that was Gala. Let's go back. Where's my EOS? I made a lot of money in this token.
Shorting or longing or both?
Just in general. This is an old token. I don't short much. So we can see these purple rectangles we know are areas of consolidation, support, or resistance. It's been on a downwards trend for a while. It's holding this support. Boom, here's our parallel channel. What's localized high, the candle that drove it down beside it. One, two, didn't break. 3, didn't get the retest. This is why we wait for the retest. It has to take off. Because if it doesn't on the retest, boom, it comes down. It comes down hard. Consolidate. Oh, try again. No retest. Comes down hard. If you don't wait for the retest you bought here, whoops. That was a 10.5% drop in a day. Now, if you have your capital tied up, you got to wait for all that to come back. It's going to come back. It's going to just take a while. Don't panic, sell. Patient. So when I was lining this up last night, you can see I was putting where I think that curl is going to go. We have to break out to punch up. What is this? This is a thick gold line. So I know that's a weekly. I've got weekly support in here, weekly support down here. We're staying in this triangle. But if we start getting to our current prices and getting to past areas of resistance, 15%, if we get to our last localized high and not even at the top of the last localized high. Why? Because this is a weak. This gold line is a weak resistance. As a WEEK, not WEAK, not teabag in the ocean week. This is very probable. How long did it take to get down from this point to where we are? a month-ish. So it would stand to reason it might take us a month to get back up there because we know it's not going to just go, there's always going to be stops along the way. And this is a very, very solid token. And we can start to see our weekly support, our lows. And when this starts to turn, where we could go from. But what if it didn't? What if it didn't get that curl? It goes to break, right? It could very well go down to these levels. And if it goes down to these levels, I am definitely in. Because it's rarely down here. I don't think it is. I think it's going to stay in this and then go up. But if you're just chasing that little bit in the beginning, as soon as you get that retest, get in and get out. Don't try to catch these big ones yet. Wait for some of them when we enter together. But if you're going to be trading on your own here and there, grab the ones. Grab those ones. Master that, because you'll master the how it all works. And then you can go on to the next. You've already seen how much money it is. That's 2.4%. All right, let's go to 2 hour. On the 2 hour, we had our cross, and it already looks like we're coming down. Why? Because this is our resistance. Makes sense it's going to come down. It's probably to come over down again. It's going to take all these steps up and down into here. But if you got in here or on the retest, just like we're supposed to on the retest. Here's your retest. Oh, just even jumped a bit. That was nice. 95% in a few hours, too. Oh, I'm unlocked. That was EOS. When I see a circle like this, I get excited because it means I'm targeting an entry. It's on the 1 hour. Did I do this on the 4 or the day? I bet you I did this on the day. So here we have our lowest low. So we're fighting. We're right in my target point of last night. We're fighting to keep this line. And we're fighting to get out of this parallel channel. And look at where that candle is to where we lined that up last night. So on the daily, if this changes green, and especially, I would wait to break, personally, I would wait to break the weekly resistance because we'll probably just keep hitting it there. As soon as we're above that weekly resistance, I'm in. And that's why I put that little gold circle there. Boom. So what is this big gold line thick? That is the weekly coming from the highest high from before. Way back here. Now, if I really wanted to go, I could do that. I just took a more localized one, but it'll give you the same info.
You're flying through. We are at like 1954, my friend.
6 minutes. So you can even see when we're zoomed in on the weekly that we're still hugging these lines. We're still hitting all of our support and resistance. We've had this channel. We're just want to come out on the weekly. 4 hour, we're almost there. And when does this one end? 5 minutes. I'd wait for the close of the next, or to see if it took off, or if we got that cross. We got that cross, we're off to the races. If you bought in here on critical fear, waiting for the cross, you're already at 3.46. You'll probably hit this resistance, 7, that resistance, 10. And I'm only just watching the spread. I'm not going to get out of a trade if I get a cross And then I get the lines doing this. Because we know the further these lines are apart in a micro bear bull, our price action is going up. Any questions? Oh, one last thing. Crypto June, friend of the show. Love him. He's going to be coming on the show hopefully soon, and vice versa for his.
He's the best.
Wonderful mind. Have known him for a while. Got to finally meet him in Hong Kong. He's in our Amsterdam timeframe. And he showed me this tool, which I'm going to put in our safe links on the website, where it's pretty neat. You know, you can put obviously any time zone or every city. These are pretty much all the people I deal with around the world. And it makes it a lot easier to figure out what time is where. And I just did them sequentially to make it easier. Cool little.
That's so
tool.
helpful. Love it.
Right.
Desi, my little late ass arriver, he said, I'm late, but it's been worth it. And then says, got some interesting stuff to show you on Sunday. So I want to see that.
Yeah. Well, we got to have surprises coming up throughout the week.
Is that just for you or is that for us too?
Well, I don't know until I talk to him. You know? But
can't wait.
I'm hoping he's going to walk me through that indicator he showed me too. Because he told me it was, I put it on there, and just like if you don't know how to use a tool, it doesn't make any sense. But maybe once I know how to use it, it'll make a lot of sense and add more confluence, more agreements to the ones I have. And if that's the case, what a great thing. Everybody, again, thank you for tuning in to the Daily Fix. If you have questions, drop them down in the Discord. I'll leave it to you here.
Oh man, that flew by. Again, another time when you're like, I don't know, but we got some good stuff. And it's interesting to see Casper kind of do its thing. I know it's hard to watch, right? But it's interesting to watch it and then just comparable to other coins that are doing the exact opposite. So I'm pretty Desi. Yay, Confluence.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, everyone's saying thank you. So you guys are so awesome to keep showing up. Friggin' love doing this with you guys every day. It keeps me accountable to keep on top of my stuff as well. So I appreciate you so much. And Primo in the back, you can't see him, but he's fucking helpful back there. We love him.
He's killing it.
But let's do it again. Let's close the week tomorrow, see how we did. And yeah, we'll connect tomorrow. Dry Powder, thanks to you. Hey.
Hopefully I see you soon, Dry Powder. Hopefully I see you soon. You can clearly tell why I've been busy. So,
all right. Goodbye, everybody. Let's do it again tomorrow, 7 o'clock. Come hang.
Peace.
Bye. Never know when Primo's gonna end.